Hello, everyone. I'm Chester44, also known as Fly, and welcome to this Let's Play of Pillars of Eternity. Last episode, we went and explored through the other half of Deerford Village. Got another quest or two around here. Found out more about this ogre out there, and indication that it may be located somewhere. Sorry, not that it. Well, we know that it's located just to the east, probably in Deerford Crossing here, but also hints that suggest that the missing noblewoman is taken by the ogre, which I very much do not believe, but we'll follow up on it anyway and see what happens. That said, there's one more thing here in town to take a look at. This grieving mother, who is taken note of as a grieving mother. This middle-aged peasant woman is dressed in a brown leather cloth draped down to her knees. Her hands are working at separating stringy, colorless vegetables in a pile before her, stripping the heads off the long, fibrous stems with a paring knife. She discards the stems one by one, placing the heads of the vegetables into a small, cradle-like basket in front of her. She doesn't greet you as you approach. You're not sure she even knows you're there. Excuse me? The woman doesn't respond. She keeps stripping the heads from the vegetables with a steady rhythm. She may be deaf. There's no indication she heard you. Study the woman. At first glance, she seems nothing more than a middle-aged woman, unremarkable, maybe less stern than most, who seems more focused on the weaving in her lap than her surroundings. Yet you suddenly notice she's not stripping the vegetables before her any longer, she's weaving. And the vegetable pots are now missing. She still pays you no mind, her brown locks torn and snagged from lack of washing, like many of the townsfolk you've seen. There's a strange blur to her. Even the motions of her hands seem to be playing with threads that lack color, in a shape that lacks interest. It may be that she is half-minded or deaf, but something feels wrong. As you watch, her knitting takes on an odd cadence, and you have a terrible suspicion that something lurks beneath what your eyes are showing you. Focus on the woman. Her brown hair is long, almost impossibly to the length of her hands. As you follow the streams of her locks downwards, the hairs become long and black, splitting off into threads of black and silver and wrapping around her hands. She is forming a soul cradle with the threads, braiding a net in front of you, each finger long and sharp like a series of knitting needles, almost hypnotic. The silver and black strands of her hair weave together, with silver predominating as a highlight, the black shadowing it. And suddenly, you are calm. You are on a plateau, almost the height of a tower, several stories high. The plateau is like a table lying beneath a clear sky, and beneath the plateau, surrounding it in all directions, a forest, hazy with mist, although whether it is actual mist, or distance, or recollection. Resting in the curve of a natural arch above you is a great copper bell, half again the size of a man, hanging at attention, as if looking down on you and the event unfolding before you. The plateau has soaked in the sun, and the rock beneath you is rough and warm. The sky forms a cradle around you. You feel different. Not disembodied, but you feel your body. Your physical contours have changed along with the surroundings. And you hear a soft series of chimes, like wind chimes. At the sound, the scene gains color and texture, as if the sound is beckoning you gently forth, filling your senses and thoughts, like mist rolling softly into a sealed chamber. And focus on the chimes. The chime coaxes you deeper into the memory, and you're certain it is a memory, a warm one. You are on the stone of the plateau, your knees on the warm texture of the ground, silver, white, shimmering like Adra? The plateau is formed of it, glistening in the sun. You can feel the heat on your skin, your wrists, and your hands. Your hands are in motion. Weaving, not thread, but gathering, tenderly moving along the first movements of Barath's wheel. Your hands are wet. Your hands are upon the flesh of a newborn child, and you can feel the crowning of a tiny head turning in your grip, its head slick, wet from the womb. The hands you are wearing, inhabiting, have done this many times, and they are practiced and confident. You can feel distant pains in your own head as the head emerges, a stream of fluid from the womb helping the newborn slide forth. and a woman's labored breathing crying out. Focus on the child, the movement of your hands. As your hands move, you hear the sound of chimes, clear, cutting through the haze of memory. You cannot see where they are coming from, but they are close, and they are meant as a comfort. Of that you are certain. Draw the child forth. And coaxed by your hands, every movement causing the chimes to sound again. Almost eagerly, the child comes forth, and as it does, your hands are in motion, weaving, moving along the length of a soft, wet rope. No, an umbilical cord from the legs of the naked woman before you. You are holding a small child, still wet from the womb, before you. The child cries out, its cry full of life, full of soul, the ringing of chimes echoing in its thoughts, filling it with its welcome. The soul is blurred at the edges, as if you are viewing a soul from within a soul, but it is there. It is alive. The woman before you is weeping, and at her first cry her hands reach out for it. Surrender the child. You surrender the child to her, something you have done many times before, and as your hands move, the chimes echo the movement, and you realize the chimes are hanging from cords on your wrists, and where once they echoed in the memory, they are now echoing in the child's mind as well. The chimes are intended to welcome the child, to be its first gentle greeting into the world, a soothing sound guided by the tender motions of your wrists. You are helping to weave its thoughts, its perceptions, and the experience. The experience. The woman laughs with ragged joy, laughing from a parched throat. Her emotions seem soothed, but the physical demands of labor have left her exhausted. But the child is here. The child is safe. And all atop the plateau is peaceful, calm, distant, flattening out as the memory persists. Slowly pull back, retreat from the memory. With effort, the scene bleeds of color, and your mind becomes your own again. There is no pull, no anchor. Yet the sound of the chimes remains. As they existed in the memory, they sound here as well. They are hanging from woven braids on the wrists of the woman before you. Even as your head is spinning from the touch of her mind, the sound of the chimes on her wrists is sharp and clear, as if coaxing you back to the real world. The woman still sits before you, but she is nothing like what you first saw. She is wearing black shredded garments that drape over her form like streamers. Her hair is streaks of black and run through with silver. Her age is almost impossible to tell. She simply feels old, like a crumbled watchtower. As she lifts her head to face you, you see that her hair is draped across the front of her face like a veil. What you first saw of her was a mental glamour of some sort, unconscious, and you realize that what you see is not what the world sees, and you are perhaps the first to see her true self. Still, you don't sense a threat in the realization. If anything, you feel a sense of relief from the figure. You can hear her thoughts, and she is glad to at last be seen. What was that?
I am seen, but the eyes of others do not remember. You were the first to see me as I am, the call stripped aside.
There is a light touch on your mind, a caress, and her left hand mirrors the motion of the touch, reaching up to the air between you. You hear the chime on her wrist sound, softly. Her hand moves as if pantomiming resting on your cheek at a distance, and she speaks softly and slowly.
Your memories. Cadence of wheels on a caravan track. Fever. Questions by running water. Violence in a night's campfire. Arrows in the dark. And fleeing. Falling rock and cracking stone. And a storm. The storm. The storm that brushed you. Did its screaming wake you from your mind's cradle? Your memory of it is painful. Its cry is difficult to ignore. It's like a child. Many children crying out.
I encountered a Biawak, yes, and it did something to me. Her hand withdraws shyly, the chimes sounding softly once again. The woman stands uncertainly, as if she has been sitting for some time, or is too weak to bear her own weight. You notice her cheekbones are tight, her face gaunt. Yet while her stance is weak, she seems determined to stand before you.
You are able to see me.
It is almost a question. You suddenly realize she doesn't seem to know what you saw when you looked at her, the image on the plateau. Yet the image was so clear, so sharp, you're surprised she didn't feel you there.
To see me is a rare gift. A watcher's gift.
I've never been able to do that with a living person, except for you. How was I able to enter your dream?
So many questions, thoughts, whirling like storm winds. That storm still roars through you, deep beneath your thoughts, yet muted and secret, like an underground river. I cannot tell if it is carving new channels, or eroding what keeps your true strength buried. The fact that you could hear it at all, survive it, is something few have ever done. Your power will grow stronger with each soul you touch, as it allowed you to reach out to mine.
There is a silence, and although it seems to last for but a heartbeat, in your thoughts it stretches out between the two of you, like a pull between your minds. You blink, take a breath, and then you realize she wants to ask you a question, yet can't form the words, as if assembling them is painful, or there simply are not enough pieces. Do you wish to travel with me? You feel a wave of fear gusted with the strength of relief, although oddly her expression does not change. Then fear dissipates, and you feel strength and certainty, as if the plateau from her memory lies beneath you, and a calm sky looks down upon you. We'll leave Aloth back
Farewell.
because she's a cipher, which is a magic user. Alright. Well, let's see this character. Grieving Mother. Okay, first things first. Class behavior. Begins with a physical attack and then focuses on using powers that emphasize damage, like Mind Wave and Soul Shock. As a secondary emphasis, the Cypher uses crowd control abilities. The Cypher opens with a physical and then focuses on using powers that emphasize personal or support defense. And emphasize crowd control. We'll focus on defense and aggressive. Okay, so she has a whole load of abilities there, which are her Cypher abilities. And personal things there. As for gear, she wields a fine dagger and a fine crossbow. And she uses light armor. Let's see if we can give her anything better. Let's see. I didn't actually look. What does she have for... She doesn't have any weapon focus, interestingly enough. Let's see. Not good for ciphers. Okay, do I have a dagger I can give her? No. I don't have a dagger I can give her or anything like that. Unfortunate. Armor-wise, well, again, she's using light armor, so let's see. I think Husk of the Great Western Stag will be what she wears. Okay, as for this gear, let's see. It's a sneak attack bonus. Well, damage to flank targets is a thing. Let's see. It's the only thing I can really give her, so sure, why not? As for the cloak... Let's see... Yeah, I can't give her much, but... I'll give her the minor cloak of protection. Okay. Now we should probably speak with her.
Your thoughts
Oh
must
yes,
flow
and
deep
she has these
indeed.
things which she can Wait a minute. Focus. Oh, hold on. Something gives focus gain. I take it back. If she gets a focus gain from things, then that means... Doesn't one of these give an extra... Oh, right. It was Defiance. There. That gives focus gain. That might be a better choice, then. What was that message? Oh, it doesn't matter. Okay. So she has these abilities and the like. She gains focus by using them. So she can use things no matter what. Now let's speak with her.
Your mind comes bearing questions, Watcher.
Indeed, I had questions for you. Let your mind speak for you. I shall listen past the words. You addressed me as a Watcher when we met. Do you know what a Watcher is? There is a slow chill, and for a moment it seems as if she is going to fade from your vision, as if she can't bear to be seen.
The title came unbidden. I do not know why I spoke of it. Yet it seemed the right mantle, a familiar one.
Yet I do not know where it came from. If I have given offense... Oddly enough, it feels like she's not speaking to you. It feels like she's speaking to an audience. The air takes on a curious edge, a chill which persists for a sharp moment, then fades into a dull fear. If I have given offense, forgive me, forgive me. You would know more than I. Have you encountered Watchers before? I do not know. It is an odd feeling. I do not know where it stems from. It was a word that arose when you saw me. It is said that Watchers see much that others do not, and I have been hidden from the eyes of others for some time. How is it no one can see you?
Their eyes see me, but their minds will not remember past the call.
Call?
My face is like the call of a newborn, hiding the face beneath. And for my body, I am able to wrap myself as a mother cradling her child. I am here, as you see me, but to them, their eyes see only the cloak that I wear, a peasant mother, dirty, shabby, not worth knowing. As a Watcher, you see more than others. To the eyes of most, I am as unseen as the spirits you share memories with.
How are you able to affect minds like this? I divert the flow of their senses down a different path, to a place easily forgotten. It is not unwelcome when one does not desire the presence of others. The surface of their minds register a figure, but the memory slips away. They see a woman, but there is no desire for conversation, no desire for any questions, and I have none to ask. Let's try something different. When we first met, how was I able to enter your dreams?
I do not know. What do you speak of? If you were in my thoughts, I could not feel your presence, nor do I know what you saw there.
As she speaks, you suddenly feel an odd sensation in your mind, like the blood of the hunt welling up in you. You suddenly realize that whether she permits it or not, you could enter her dream and observe it without her even ever knowing. There's something about her mind, like a weapons rack, where you could reach in and draw forth a blade if you wish to keep it as your own. And suddenly you find yourself back in your present thoughts, though you were away for but a moment. She seems unaware of your diversion of thought. It may be one of your gifts, an ability to walk in memories as easily as someone walks upon the ground. Perhaps you'd like to hear of what I saw in your memories. A mixture of curiosity and fear wells up between you. She raises her left hand, the chiming at her wrists quelling the rise within her. She is frightened, but curiosity anchors her.
And what did you see in my memories? I would hear you speak of them.
The dream. The memory I saw upon meeting you. It was you, helping give birth to a child. There is silence, and as your breath falls still, you hear the faint cry of a child in the distance, a newborn child, almost exactly like what you heard in the dream. As you listen, the grieving mother raises both her hands as if weaving, her wrists chiming as she does so, in a semblance of the gentle turning she provided while the newborn was crowning. To your surprise, you recognize the motions and the words from the memory, even as they are new to you. As she weaves her hands through the air in front of her, the child's cries grow still. Yet the sound of the chimes weaves almost hypnotically into your thoughts. The sky seems sharp and clear, and you feel as if you are towering over your surroundings, as if kneeling atop a great pillar, just as she did in the memory. To your surprise, the grieving mother falls as if her strings were cut, and her knees crack hard against the ground. Her hands never cease moving in the air, the chimes echoing her movements. In a ragged voice you hear her speak. The voice is that of a much older woman than the one before you, harsh, almost desperate.
Tell me what you saw. Show me what you saw. Where were you?
Her eyes, now terribly sharp and real, are filmed with white, silver white, like Audra. A huge forest stretching out beneath a great rock. As she kneels before you on the ground, she whispers to you, hoarsely and even fainter with the distance between you.
The stone of the plateau. Its color. Tell me its color.
It was silver Audra, its surface warmed by the sun. As you watch, her hands rise before her. She clasps them, then cups them, as if feeling them for the first time, and she stares down into the cradle of her hands. And the chimes sound once, twice, as they swing with the movement.
And what did these hands hold?
I'm not sure. There was a child you were bringing forth in your hands. I don't recall. There is a sudden intake of breath, and then a release. Her eyes blur closed, forming into slits, but in the brief glimpse you have of her changing expression, the rippling pain in her features seems to have smoothed. She swallows, once, twice, and then you feel her once again in your thoughts, the rasping husk of her voice swallowed and drawn within her.
It was the birthing bell you saw. Has it been so long? Have I forgotten so much?
With the words comes a river of impulses, thoughts, as if loosed from a breaking dam, and as your mind wraps the impulses into words, you realize it is her muscles and her hardened thoughts relaxing and breathing again. There is such an intensity you almost want to step back from the flow, but you find the wave of impulses cause questions to float to the surface. Among them is a name. Watcher. What is the birthing bell?
It is a plateau formed of the spirit stone Audra. At its top is set a great bell, cradled in the reaching arm of the plateau. It stirs in the wind, and it sounds for leagues when struck by kith hands. In distant times, the great bell served as a Glanfathan watchtower, perhaps. Why they abandoned it, I do not know. Other men came in time, settlers, and claimed the tower as their own. I, in turn, claimed it from them. The pillar became a cradle where I could draw new souls into the world.
In your memory, were you helping a woman give birth?
Yes. Yet, I believe you only saw a small part of the birthing ritual. It is not all in a moment, nor in a day. It is a journey of many years between the child, the mother, and I.
There was much I could do to aid the mother. Some sought the physical comforts of ritual to steady their thoughts, even Audra from the bell. Others would seek advice, words of counsel for the days ahead. I was able to provide draughts, tinctures, and a reading of the child's spirit, all to strengthen the mother. Can you tell me about the birthing ritual?
The ritual was one of many steps. It took many tens of years to carve them, but always the child's thoughts were there to guide me, from the moment it began to awaken, to the 3 seasons within the mother, to the birthing day, and the years to follow. The child's thoughts, that is where it began. The expectant mother, I could often sense her thoughts, and those of her child, before she could. I would soothe her, free her from the panic of questions. I would sound the memory of the birthing bell atop the plateau in her mind, letting the memory of the vibrations fill my thoughts and hers. Often, the child's soul could hear it too, so the sound of the bell echoed in the mother's thoughts.
You sensed the mother's thoughts. Sharing memories and thoughts can bond lives together, as can hardships, and most of all, the sharing of what is familiar. The bell itself provided shelter for such thoughts, opportunities to see deep into the crevice, hollows in the rock where one could find shelter, clefts where you could feel the Audra all around you. As she speaks, you feel your legs, bent, crossed, and the warmth of walls around you, and blankets woven thick beneath you. Such shared images can bond souls even tighter, and allow them to draw strength from each other. You mentioned the ritual lasted years. What would happen after the birth? Once the pain is channeled away, and the mother and child breathe again, I sound the birthing bells on my wrists, and allow the mother to hear the child's thoughts, the ringing echoing in each other's thoughts. The bells open the way between them, let her feelings pass into the newborn, and let her feel the child in return. And when the feelings meet, that is when I weave another memory, and leave it tied in their minds. Did these bells play an important role in the birthing process? Yes, and for years after, I gave a set to the child after delivery. It is a reminder of the memory the mother and child shared. You feel an odd sensation, a warmth, and you can feel a smile being shared. Then it flickers and it is gone. As the bells coaxed the child forth, so they accompany the child onwards, fastened about the wrists, to care for him in mind and body. There is no magic in it except the magic of practicality. If a child sought to leave their cradles or escape their cribs, the mother would know through the warning of the chimes alone. At times, if the bond was strong, so would I. The sensation of a smile comes again, slower, more knowing between you. If not watched, children, much trouble may be had from tiny hands. The chimes are kept until the child needs them no longer. When I no longer can hear them sounding in my mind, I know their spirit has changed, and the bonds we shared are long gone. This shedding may last many years, or but a few, but it is necessary. You watched over these children for years after their births. Children are fragile things. Even the ties of blood and mind may not be enough. They must be watched, and even then the body may fail the mind. But if watched, even the most sickly child may cling to life if determined enough, and many of their souls were tied to me. If a child's spirit failed, I could sound the chimes in their mind and grant them strength, even from afar. It did not always serve, but it gave hope. It sounds like you've seen tragedy, too. Enough to never wish to feel it again. In the times before the bell, children who died were cast upon the waters of the lake beyond the bell. Sometimes while alive, if their paths and futures were deemed weak. It was a different time. Children were treated carelessly. Those times are past. I have other questions about the birthing bell. Why would you give a telling of the child's spirit?
Many would come seeking their child's future, or a reading into the child's past, the lives its soul is said to have lived.
There is a slow chill, and for a moment it seems as if she is going to fade from your vision, as if she can't bear to be seen, and there is a spike of fear, alarm.
Such things are not mine to see. I meant no offense.
Oddly enough, it feels like she's not speaking to you. It feels like she's speaking to an audience. The air takes on a curious edge, a chill which persists for a sharp moment, then fades into a dull fear. You feel the word watcher resounding in her mind. You're frightened. Something about watchers. As the thought of watchers crosses your mind, you feel a sharp pain, stabbing, and the sudden burn of lashes across your back and shoulder, and then it is gone, and you feel the grieving mother before you, silent, almost fearful, wary.
I was something else, but because the title Watcher was cast on me, the word carried a weight I had neither earned nor deserved. The world seems filled with such titles. They distract, I think, from the actions of the person, from their strengths.
Why did you believe you were a Watcher?
The world has many corners, and in some corners the name Watcher is more known. It is an easier title than others, and at times it is easier to wear. Placing a title upon what is unknown can dispel the fear of it, and I did not fight it. I even believed it true, though I knew little of the ways of Watchers. It even granted me strength. I was able to see the thoughts of others, shape them, and help guide souls. Watcher seemed enough, and the name seemed to matter little in the light of one's acts.
But if they came to you to read their child's souls, what did you tell them?
I drew upon the present. I felt the soul of the mother before me, and used that to tell the child's path, to give it a voice. If only the thoughts of the mother and the emotions that lie beneath were mine to impart. I did, and so I used that as the telling of their child's future.
What if it turned out to be untrue?
Futures fulfilled by one's own spirit are as strong as anything seen by another's eyes. And if one draws from the emotion of the mother, it matters only when harm is done. And their lives I knew well. I could weave their lives, their thoughts over time, to the mother, to the child, and once the child had been born, was sheltered, I could relax the threads of thought until the child could stand on its own.
So you shaped their thoughts, made the readings true.
This is my calling, to show them the life I see before them, and even greater, make them believe it.
That is not what a Watcher does. We do not shape minds, we see them as they are.
Even the most strongly worded tells may not be enough to save a child and allow it to be born. If I have the strength to strip away the stem of a mother's spite to expose kindness, weave nurturing from disdain and neglect, then that is my calling. And with the weight of Watcher behind my thoughts, these tells gain strength. Strength I never possessed on my own. They believed. And what they believed became the truth. With each child that was set upon that path, the title of Watcher became stronger. You must understand, without such weight upon my words, many lives would have been lost. Drowned, cast in the lake beyond the bell. Now the trail to the lake is lost and reclaimed by the forest, as was meant. A Watcher was not there to look over us, but it was a Watcher that saved them. And with a Watcher's strength, children were born, were cared for, and grew strong.
So through what it was effectively mind control, she altered the fates of the children that were born there to enable them to actually live and survive. In a world where, if people saw their futures as being bad, they would kill them. To inflict your will on another, that is not reading, that is control.
What use is a frightened will when a spirit is at stake? Would you let the fears of a mother end her newborn's life? You felt it in the memory, the weight of it, the importance of the child's life. It was a memory we shared.
Did we share the memory, or did you inflict it upon me? And suddenly there is a rasping cry across your consciousness. She raises her hands and you see the chimes draped from them, yet they make no sound as she moves.
A greater good was done, and children were saved. It is a choice you may be forced to make one day, and when faced with it, you will make the same one.
When that happens, I'll be making my own choice.
This choice is not yours to make, Watcher. You will do as the world needs, as its children need. It is greater than you and your twist of sight.
One more question. Where is the birthing bell located? The birthing bell lies deep in the great forests of the Deerwood, at the borders of Glanfathen lands. Surrounding it, barely a town, not one you would find on any map, but it held an important place for those there, even if we were far from the beaten track. Small families, tied like a knot, joined at the wrists in mind, in thought. All were welcome. All had purpose. I want to talk about something else. I heard the name... This episode is going to go long. I heard the name Watcher in your thoughts when you remembered the birthing bell. Why?
It is because I once believed I was one, and others believed I was one.
There is a slow chill, and for a moment it seems as if she is going to faint. Okay. There is another name for someone with your abilities. I see the word cipher in your mind and see its meaning. Although I did not train in such things, and the title feels more of a cloak the world casts on me and judges me for. It is curious how such a title as that can define one, and at times be the source of such emotion that comes from no one but the voices of others. It is a curse of the world. Do you know anything about Watchers? I feel that they were once marked, hated. Such hate feels dimmed now. I can feel it. Other hatreds have risen for other titles. But they burned bright in the past. Now hates have shifted focus, and they may fall on the same again. Either you or me. Why did you believe you were a Watcher? Okay, we already saw that. I wanted to know more about you.
And I you. In asking, we reveal ourselves to each other.
Why are you called the Grieving Mother? The air seems to go still for a moment, and time stretches as it did before when the two of you first met. There is a wash of uncertainty from her mind, slowly shaping into questions that swirl and do not coalesce. She does not move. She seems paralyzed, as if you have just wrapped her in a cold blanket.
That is a question for you, not I. That is not my name, although if you wish to hang the title on me, I cannot stop you. Is that what you see when your eyes fall upon me?
So, I named you. As a watcher, you may see what I do not, or your mind shapes the thoughts I project into a new meaning. There is truth in that title, but it is not all I am. So what do you grieve, then? You must have felt it, seen it. It has many names as the pain it has caused. As the words take shape, they seem to tumble from her, and the wave is great, rushing into your mind. To your surprise, you feel as if you've been touched by the Biawak again, and behind it, cutting through the torrent like a knife, are the thoughts of the grieving mother. There is a wound cut across the belly of the world, a jagged knife that has stripped the stems from men and carved furrows across the wombs of women. There is much I have forgotten, but I can feel the wound all around me. It will not let me rest, not let me be. The children have gone silent, yet their voices may be heard again. Are you speaking of the Hollowborn? The word. There is a slowness of thoughts, as if the word is being weighed, accepted. It doesn't feel natural to her, you can sense it. Was once unknown to me, as was much of what unfolded in the outside world. When the curse came upon us, I thought it a smaller thing, a thing of communities and hearts. Her thoughts seemed to stumble, as if on weak legs. It was only when I walked did I feel it stretching out around me, in all the cracks of the world. Children have been cursed. I do not think it was something they caused, nor something deserved. That which is inside them has been torn away. I do not know how, but this wound must be stitched closed. The world bleeds forth from between a woman's legs. If this blood is not stemmed, the world will die and grow quiet. Do you know its cause? There is a desperation, a welling fear. You can almost feel her thoughts shivering, and you realize she is as lost as you are on the matter. And then a sudden sharp clarity. I shall know it. Through you. Your eyes will track the cause, find the path, and I will be beside you. There is no wound that cannot be healed, and if you are truly a watcher, then this wound may be seen for what it is. You saw me where I hid. Whoever's hands have stilled the world, you shall see them too. And if there is no way to heal it, what then? I will be there, and you will do what must be done. You were given your sight so that you may watch the world, and you will tend it. The children shall have their voice again. If your will is weak, then I shall strengthen it. Lean upon me. You feel a weight in her words, as if her hands are on your shoulders. You feel the questions in your mind lose their edge and become merely words. As I lean upon you, you shall be my eyes, as I shall be your hands when the time comes. What do you think of Deerwood and the Empire? Those titles are markings on a map and channel people's minds in violent directions. Such things are a threadbare blanket cast over the world where men and women seek more importance than simply being. How do you see the world, then? The world is a field of souls tilled by Bereth's wheel. The thought of cultures and territories do not concern me. The sowing and harvest of the field does. Bereth's wheel has slowed, perhaps stopped altogether. Whatever words, titles, laws, and blades not devoted to carving away the harm or healing that wound holds little importance for me. Something else I would know about you, discuss something different. Can you tell me about the birthing bell?
The birthing bell. It is where I could...
And that is all we have. Perhaps she'll open up more as our journeys continue. Okay, and with that, I have to end this episode because it has gone on very long enough. That was a long episode, but it has been taken care of. With that done, next episode we'll head out and do some exploring, but she is a very curious woman. That'll be in the next episode. So until then, I am Chester44, also known as Fly. That is Laniara, Adair, Kana, Doran, Sagani, and the Grieving Mother. This has been a Let's Play of Pillars of Eternity, and I shall see you all next time.